Botswana's natural diamonds have powered a nation's rise, providing universal education, healthcare, and infrastructure, while enabling women and youth to thrive.
What just happened in the US has the world talking. Botswana's President Duma Boko walked into a high-profile summit and walked out making global headlines. With cameras rolling and jaws dropping, he delivered a thunderous message to Western powers. We will reclaim our diamonds. This wasn't a symbolic statement. It was a direct challenge to the decades-long exploitation of Africa's richest resources. The West didn't see it coming. Diplomats were stunned. But for millions across Africa, it felt like long overdue justice.
Scaling traceability, strengthening certification, harmonizing customs codes, and pushing back against greenwashing and misleading marketing. Beyond protecting confidence, we must also create demand actively, intentionally, and together.
In this video, we're diving into the exact words that shook Washington, the history behind the diamonds, and why this moment marks a seismic shift in Africa's global posture. Stay with us. This is not just news, it's a turning point. The bombshell heard round the world. When President Duma Boko took the podium in Washington, no one expected the tremor he was about to unleash. "We will reclaim our diamonds," he said, not pleading, but proclaiming. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a declaration of war against decades of silent exploitation. The West, usually so quick to clap for African leaders who toe the line, was stunned into silence. Boko didn't come for handshakes or hollow partnerships. He came with receipts, with fury, and with the resolve of a man who understood that Botswana's wealth had lined European pockets for far too long, while his people waited for the trickle that never came. And the timing? Perfect. Just as Captain Ibrahim Traoré redraws the map of African self-determination, Boko's thunderous speech lit a spark that traveled across borders. Together, they are anchoring a new era, one not defined by dependency, but by dignity. The diamonds of Botswana are no longer up for grabs. The quiet approval from Sahel leaders, especially Traoré, was a clear signal. A new front is forming. This wasn't a lone act of defiance. It was a united call to arms. From Ouagadougou to Gaborone, African leaders are ditching the diplomacy of the past for the fire of the future, and the colonial strongholds, from London to Brussels, have just been served notice. Africa isn't just rising, it's reclaiming. And with voices like Boko and Traoré leading the charge, the era of silent plunder is finished. Africa is not your minefield, it is its own empire.
Proving Africa's strong determination to take back control of its own story and its wealth. For every Pan-Africanist, this moment where our emerging leaders are putting the interest of their people at the forefront resonates deeply, symbolizing a decisive step towards economic sovereignty and a redefinition of Africa's place in an industry that has historically been fraught with external control.
De Beers in the crosshairs. You could hear the champagne go flat in London when Boko took aim at De Beers. The century-old diamond conglomerate has built its empire on Botswana's soil, literally. While De Beers made billions, Botswana got just a tiny sliver of the pie. For years, the narrative was carefully managed. Botswana and De Beers were partners, but Boko ripped the mask off. "Partners don't bleed each other dry," he said, locking eyes with the audience like a prosecutor grilling a suspect. The crowd shifted in their seats. He wasn't wrong. While Botswana houses some of the world's richest diamond mines, the real wealth flows outward, to European vaults and offshore accounts. Boko's speech wasn't about breaking contracts. It was about correcting history. The West didn't see this coming, but they should have. Traoré had already shown the playbook: nationalize, localize, fortify. And Boko, he's now taking page after page. In a bold move, he announced that future mining operations would prioritize domestic processing, African ownership, and continental trade first. Forget middlemen in Europe. Botswana wants to sell directly to African markets. What's more, Boko hinted at inviting Burkina Faso and Mali to co-invest in diamond refinery infrastructure. The message is clear: Africa is keeping its shine at home.
So we are in the last month of the semester. First half of the year, 2025. So I wish we could use this month for start thinking about the outlook for the second half of the year and see what worked in our administrations and what didn't work.
Enter Captain Traoré, Africa's vanguard. Boko might have dropped the bombshell, but Traoré's shadow loomed large behind him. The young, sharp-eyed captain of Burkina Faso has become the unexpected North Star for a new generation of African leadership. While Western media tries to paint him as a military hardliner, the truth is more powerful. He's a patriot who refuses to bend. And Boko? He's watching and learning. Traoré's blueprint for reclaiming gold mines, booting out exploitative foreign troops, and restoring pride to Burkina Faso didn't go unnoticed in Gaborone. In fact, Boko referred to Traoré's strategy as courage wrapped in policy. That's high praise, and it's warranted. Under Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso is rapidly becoming the heartbeat of Pan-African resistance. It's no longer about ideology, it's about results. He's cutting deals that benefit his people, securing borders with real teeth, and calling out global hypocrisy with the precision of a surgeon. Boko, seeing the momentum, is aligning himself with Traoré not just politically, but economically. He even proposed a Sahelian African Resource Alliance. Diamonds, gold, cobalt, lithium, extracted, refined, and sold by Africans for Africans. That kind of alignment terrifies the West, because if Burkina Faso and Botswana unite their natural riches, game over for colonial economics.
Since the coup that occurred in September 2022, Burkina Faso has entered a new chapter in its political and social history under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. His government brought a wave of rapid change, especially in the defense and national development sectors.
The West panics, diplomacy turns to damage control. Barely 24 hours after Boko's speech, U.S. State Department officials scrambled behind the scenes. Emails were flying, back-channel meetings were set up. Suddenly, diamond diplomacy became a front-page issue. But here's the twist. The old tricks aren't working anymore. No more handshakes with hidden knives. Boko didn't come to beg, he came to break the cycle. And Traoré, he's already weathered worse. When the West tried to corner him with sanctions and isolation, he doubled down, reopened mines, created new military alliances, and inspired a patriotic economy. Boko took notes. Western lobbyists pushed back hard after the speech, claiming that destabilizing De Beers' operations could hurt the global diamond market. What they meant was, we might lose our monopoly. And that's exactly the point. Boko didn't come to maintain balance, he came to tip the scales. And with Traoré's backing, the leverage has shifted. European diplomats, once used to speaking in patronizing tones, suddenly found themselves ignored. Boko made it clear, if the West won't offer fair partnerships, Botswana will look elsewhere. Russia, China, the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. No more exclusive clubs, no more gatekeeping. The panic in Western boardrooms isn't over diamonds, it's over power.
Just months into his presidency, Boko has emerged as a beacon of hope, drawing inspiration from and aligning with Burkina Faso's revolutionary captain Ibrahim Traoré. Together, these two young, fearless leaders are rewriting the narrative of African leadership, rejecting foreign dominance, and reclaiming their nation's wealth for their people.
Africa's natural wealth, Africa's natural right. Boko wasn't speaking for Botswana alone. He was tapping into a continental sentiment. From the cobalt mines in the Congo to the oil fields of Nigeria, Africans are tired of being rich in resources but poor in outcomes. Traoré knew it, acted on it, and now Boko is vocalizing it. The era of extraction without restitution is over. What Boko proposed goes beyond nationalism. It's a continental reclamation. He wants African schools funded by African diamonds, African roads paved by African minerals, African futures financed by African banks. For too long, natural wealth has been an escape plan for foreign corporations and a curse for locals. Boko's declaration is flipping that narrative. Imagine a network of refineries, shipping hubs, and gem certification centers run by Africans, for Africans. No need to send raw diamonds to Belgium for polishing. No need for approval from foreign commodity boards. Traoré has already begun localizing supply chains in Burkina Faso. Boko is accelerating that trend in Botswana. Together, they're forging what they call Resource Sovereignty 2.0. It's not just policy, it's philosophy. The diamond is no longer a Western luxury, it's an African legacy. And the time has come for the people who bleed the soil to own the sparkle.
A viral video of Captain Ibrahim Traoré circulating across social media platforms has ignited a firestorm of pride and hope among Africans, showcasing the stark contrast between Burkina Faso's dilapidated past and the transformative present under Traoré's audacious leadership.
The media spin begins, but it's too late. Right after Boko's announcement, headlines around the world began spinning. Botswana risks isolation, one outlet claimed. Boko turns radical, another shouted. But here's what they didn't say. The people are standing with him. In Botswana, social media erupted with support. Hashtags like Reclaim Our Diamonds and Africa First trended across the continent. The media may try to frame this as chaos, but what they're witnessing is clarity, a leader finally speaking the truth out loud. Western analysts called it dangerous populism. But if reclaiming your own wealth is dangerous, what does that say about the system that made it necessary? Traoré has been through this rodeo already. The media called him a dictator until locals began showing up in droves with flags and faith. Boko's support base is just getting started. What the media forgets is that African youth aren't relying on BBC or CNN for their worldview. They're watching WhatsApp clips, TikTok speeches, and listening to unfiltered voices like Traoré and Boko. The people have new heroes now, and they don't wear suits from Paris. They wear boots in Ouagadougou and traditional prints in Gaborone. The old media game is broken. The narrative no longer belongs to the West.
Why is the world suddenly paying attention to this once forgotten nation located in the heart of West Africa?
Captain Ibrahim Traoré.
Captain Ibrahim Traoré,
President of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré.
Ibrahim Traoré.
It is all because of this 34-year-old captain who seized power in a coup and is now Africa's youngest leader. He kicked out the French, rejected IMF loans, and formed a military alliance that is shaking the foundations of global power.
A new alliance forged in fire. Traoré and Boko aren't just allies, they're becoming architects of a new African bloc. While NATO and the EU scramble to retain global dominance, a different kind of alliance is rising. Call it the Sahel South Compact. The idea is simple. Pool resources, protect sovereignty, and break the chains of foreign dependency. Under this model, diamonds from Botswana, gold from Mali, uranium from Niger, and cotton from Burkina Faso all fuel a closed-loop African economy. Traoré laid the groundwork with military resistance. Boko is now adding financial muscle. He's invited Sahel leaders to co-develop a Pan-African sovereign wealth fund, based not on aid or debt, but on real assets. This is the African IMF the world has feared. One by one, African leaders are waking up to the possibility that independence isn't symbolic, it's structural. They're building pipelines, not puppets, power grids, not compromises, and behind every blueprint is the will to defend it. Traoré's troops are trained and loyal. Boko's reformers are young and hungry. Together, they're bridging cultures and currencies, forging unity that's immune to colonial tricks. This isn't a protest, it's a proposal, a roadmap written in sweat, stone, and sovereignty.
Earlier this year, Botswana signed a historic sales agreement with our long-standing partner, De Beers. This agreement gives Botswana a greater stake from 30% to 50% of rough production by 2035.
Africa is not asking anymore. The West better get used to it. Africa is not negotiating from the back seat. Boko's Diamond Declaration wasn't a question, it was a verdict, and Traoré's silence during all of this, that was strategic approval. These two are reshaping what leadership means on the continent. Gone are the days of passive presidents shaking hands while their nations are looted behind closed doors. Today, African leaders are channeling the defiance of Sankara, the vision of Nkrumah, and the boldness of Fanon. But this isn't the 1960s. This is digital, dynamic, and deeply unapologetic. Boko's message was clear. If the world wants our diamonds, they'll pay our price. Not in promises, but in respect, equity, and partnership. And Traoré? He's building a fortress of mines and minerals around that very idea. The rest of Africa is taking notes. These are not isolated revolts. They're ripples forming a wave. A new rhythm is pulsing through the continent, and it's not set by Davos or Wall Street. It's coming from Ouagadougou, Gaborone, Bamako, Niamey. Africa is not asking for change. It's becoming the change. And this time, the sparkle of the diamond belongs to the hands that mined it, and the hearts that will never sell it out again. President Boko's speech wasn't just bold, it was historic. In just a few minutes, he flipped the global narrative, forcing powerful nations to reckon with their legacy of resource extraction. Botswana is no longer asking politely, it's demanding what's rightfully theirs. And this declaration, it could set off a chain reaction across the continent. Will other African leaders follow suit? Will the West attempt to renegotiate or retaliate? One thing's certain, the world just witnessed a new kind of diplomacy, fierce, unapologetic, and deeply African. If you found this moment as powerful as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And drop your thoughts below. Should Africa reclaim its resources once and for all? Until next time, stay bold, stay awake.